Hi everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. When the bell icon appears, ring that bell. Be notified of all of our videos as we upload them. Today's video, we're going to be talking about some more food shortages that I really hadn't thought about and the way they come about, and some of the unemployment numbers and things that are going on in the country. So hang in there and we'll get right on into that. So today's video, we're going to talk about, first off, we're going to talk about the unemployment numbers because that affects several million people in the United States. And we're going to go beyond just the unemployment into housing and renting and things like that. I touched on that in one of my last videos, my previous videos, if you'd like to go back and watch that one. But this one is it's an article from CBN News, and I wanted to share it with you because I don't think people are still aware of the gravity of all this, the widespread effect of all this, and even though we've seen millions of job losses throughout the United States this year alone, we've seen millions of people get unemployment, and as long as people are drawing unemployment, they have it, or many of them, I'll put it like this, many of them have a tendency to feel like things are still okay. And they operate on the hopes that that job's going to open back up, or that position's going to, come back available to them, and they're going to be able to go back to work and go back to doing what they're doing. Or if they don't, then maybe they can find another job elsewhere, or whatever the case may be. The money's still coming in, and it's kind of like they have blinders on, and they can't see either way except for straight ahead. And if there's ever a time when they look outside of the box we're in, if there's ever been a time in our lives, it's right now. We need to look around us and take a good sharp look at it. So I'm going to read some stuff to you here and share some thoughts with you. It says about 12 million jobless workers around the United States will lose their unemployment benefits the day after Christmas. 12,000 jobless workers will lose their unemployment benefits the day after Christmas. Now, I know that Christmas is a big deal to a lot of people. It's become way less a big deal to my wife and I over the years, simply because that monetary things and physical things don't mean very little to us anymore. But it says the benefit cutoff could push many households into poverty while creating headwinds for the economic recovery. Now, there's two things I'd like to mention about that. I'm sure that this will push people into poverty. People who are surviving on unemployment. They don't have a second job. The spouse maybe isn't working, or even if the spouse is working, they may not be bringing in enough money to pay for all the bills without that unemployment. And it will plunge many people into poverty. And when I say poverty, I mean they won't be able to pay their house payments. They won't be able to pay their rental payments. They won't be able to pay car payments. When you're pushed into poverty, you lose the ability to pay that stuff. And they will be lucky if they're able to buy food. All these other things will be gone. Food will be of the utmost necessity at that time. Food and clothing to keep yourself warm with. And the reason I mention clothing to keep yourself warm with is because this is happening the day after Christmas. That pushes people into January without a check. One of the coldest months of the year without a check. That's going to make it extremely hard for a lot of people. And it's not just the unemployment. Let's go on into this. It says two key government, let me mention this too. It says about it's creating a headwind. It's kind of slowing down, they said, the economic recovery. There's not. I don't foresee an economic recovery. I see a inflated. Now this is just my opinion here. I see an inflated stock market that that is literally fooling people. I think the government and the big tech companies have a hand up over here saying, look here at the stock market, look here how good things are going. We're in a recovery mode. We're trying to get the recovery going. We're trying to, and over here they're doing everything they've been doing, and nothing's changing, and all the unemployment just keeps running in, and all the other problems that the American economy is having still right there. All the job losses are coming in. All the job closures are coming in. They're just not focusing on it. You're not seeing it. It's there. I'm telling you, it's there. And this right here is going to do just like this and collapse in the end. That's my opinion. That's why I say we need to get ready for 2021. It's going to be a tough year. I said 2 government programs authorized the Cocoa-19. I'm going to call it a Cocoa-19 because I think it's a recipe cooked up by a lot of people, and cocoa goes in a lot of recipes. So I'm going to call this thing the Cocoa-19. The Cocoa-19 Aid Relief and the Economic Security Act, or CARES Act, expire on December the 26th. One is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which provides jobless aid to freelance and gig workers that would deprive 7.3 million workers of urgently needed income, according to a study released Wednesday by the Century Foundation, a progressive think tank. Another 4.6 million workers face being dropped from pandemic emergency unemployment compensation benefits, another CARES Act program that provides an additional 13 weeks of jobless age beyond the typical 26 weeks that states provide, the analysis found. So we're looking at, they said 12 million jobless workers by the 26th, starting on the 26th of December. So that is a lot of jobless people. Now that's going to affect the economy, and you know, a lot of those jobless people may be family members or friends of ours, and that could affect us. So we need to keep that in mind. We may have to be in a position to where we need to try to help people when we can and if we can. I know sometimes you can't. Some of you are going to be pretty strapped just to feed yourself. I realize that. But those of us who can help others, we need to certainly try to. So let's move along. The extra $600 a week in federal unemployment insurance assistance that workers had been getting under the CARES lapsed at the end of July, slashing income for many Americans who lost their jobs during the first months of the coronavirus pandemic. The financial support from government stimulus programs has been credited with keeping many businesses and households afloat as they coped with the fallout of this Cocoa-19 and nationwide shutdowns. The upcoming benefits cliff may prove to be another shock to households and the economy. People don't realize that most of the people collecting unemployment benefits now will be cut off on December the 26th. That's a big drop. $600 a week to nothing. $2,400 a month to nothing. So we need to keep that in mind here. Most people will be going from that 200 to 300 a week to nothing. So there's been people drawing as high as $600 a week in unemployment, and then there's others that have been on an extension drawing 200 to 300, a week, and all that's going to be gone after the 26th of December. And yet they talk about a stronger economy or a economic recovery. You can't have an economic recovery without jobs. It just don't happen. Now, I'm not an economist, and I'm not a government official of any kind, and I've not been to school for any of this stuff, but I've got enough sense to know that you can't have an economic recovery without economy, and you can't have economy without business. And when all the businesses are shut in the United States, there's no economic recovery. You can print all the money in the world, and it won't create an economic recovery. It'll create the illusion of one, but it won't create a recovery. He added, this will have a huge impact on families and economy. At the same time, several other pandemic-related programs are due to expire at the end of the year. This was the other ones I wanted to touch on, which could add to the pressure facing many households. For instance, a moratorium on evictions and a program to provide forbearance on mortgages are also scheduled to expire by the end of 2020. That puts you into January again, right in the winter, in the cold of winter. Hundreds of thousands of workers continue to file new jobless claims each week. Some 742,000 people filed for the first-time unemployment benefits. And this happened for the week ending November the 14th. These were all new first-time unemployment benefits, and this is on top of those that's already filed. For the week of November the 14th, there was 742,000 new unemployment claims filed. That's an increase of 31,000 from the week before. Another 320,000 people applied for pandemic uninsurance assistance, a federal program for the self-employed and others who don't qualify for regular unemployment benefits. Last week was the 35th straight week total initial claims were greater than the worst week of the Great Recession. So, job growth is slowing. Go figure. Job growth is slowing. Now, the end of the stimulus programs will provide a real test for the economy, according to Oxford Economics senior columnist Bob Schwartz. The expiration of unemployment support is coming as COVID-19 surges across the U.S., sparking new restrictions from states and cities. So this new testing that they've done and all these numbers that you're showing going up has spurred another huge amount of restrictions across the country. A lot of lockdowns, creating more job losses, shutting down more businesses, creating more, causing more businesses just to close their doors because many of them won't be able to reopen. The small businessman, when he can only suffer so much, he can only take so much over a given amount of time, and then he has to just give up because the funds run out. Now they can say what they want to about all these stimulus packages, but it rarely helps the small man or the small employer. It's the corporates that it helps more than anybody. There's just so much going on in this country right now. And we have had, back in the summer, if you recall, we had some of our supply chains damaged and broken. And we saw how fragile that could be and how easy it would be to cause a massive food loss in this country, from state to state. Well, my goodness, if the truckers did go on strike like they said they was going to, it would create it'd just be catastrophic, the effect it would have across this nation. That's one of the biggest suppliers, food chains that brings food from store to store on a timely basis. Every day, every week, they're 2 or 3 times a week, 4 or 5 times a week. Most grocery stores are getting truckloads of stuff in to keep them going. They have to get all that fresh stuff. And that's what brings me to this next thing is right here that I want to talk about is how easy it is to lose these food chains. Now, I just got a picture, and I'll try to think to put it right here, from one of our subscribers. Said that there was a lettuce shortage, and I thought, a lettuce shortage? Why would there be a lettuce shortage? And it said lettuce crops in California could affect availability and prices at Texas grocery stores and restaurants, and highlights the fragility of the nation's food supply chain, said Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service experts. Lettuce growers in Central California experienced unseasonably high temperatures and crop disease that caused severe losses to iceberg and romaine varieties. And the economist said that the shortage is another instance of the nation's food supply chain being disrupted. So let's talk about that just for a second. Unseasonably high temperatures and crop disease. I mentioned yesterday in my video that, or day before, whichever one it was, I don't remember now, I think it was the day before, that we were having changes in our spring weather throughout the United States, and the farmers were the ones who were speaking about it. They said that the spring weather had changed so much that they were having to push their planting of their crops out further and further for the last couple of years, and that made for shorter growing seasons, which made for smaller amounts of produce that they could put out on the market. And when I'm talking about farmers, I'm talking about people like the farmers in Iowa that grow all that corn that got destroyed. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions of pounds of produce that's affected by the growing season. So you can look at this right here and see that the high temperatures in California created crop diseases in their lettuce, and one growing season is going to affect the entire sales season for that. We don't get all of our lettuce from California, but we get a huge part of our lettuce from California here in the United States. We get lettuce from around the world. Different countries in the world, ships in lettuce. But that could be cut off in a heartbeat, just like when Vietnam had their droughts this year. They said their rice crops was affected, so they just cut off all exports to other countries. I mean, that's how simple it would be to lose your produce, your supply chain, is if these other countries that you purchase from and you get your supplies from, if they start having the same difficulties and the same struggles, then they're going to keep their food, going to keep it for their own selves. And we've seen that around the world this year. We've seen locusts destroy tens of thousands, millions of acres of crops. We've seen droughts destroy millions of acres of crops. We've seen floods destroy millions of acres of crops. We've seen winds destroy millions of acres of crops. It's just all around the world. And these things will have an effect on us. All of it will have an effect on us. And that's why it's so important that it doesn't matter where you're at right now. This is the message I guess I really wanted to get across today is get it while you can, okay? Get this stuff while you can get it, because it doesn't matter what kind of financial shape you're in right now. It doesn't matter what company you work for right now. Within a week, you could be in the unemployment line. And I know that's hard for some of you to believe, but we're living in a very unstable world and a very unstable society. We are living in a country where the leaders say one thing and do another. They speak great swelling words of concern for the people, but in their hearts all they care about is their power and money. So with that being said, look around you. Look out around you. Look beyond your city. Look beyond your state. See what the other states are going through. Just like right here with California and Texas. This has created a huge problem for Texas as far as them being able to get lettuce because the California crops were damaged. Look around you at all the unemployment that's going on right now. 720-something thousand new unemployment files claimed for the week of November the 14th. That's on top of the millions that's already there. And many of those people won't get their unemployment. And I know that some of you probably won't believe me, but that's okay, because we've still got tens of thousands of people right here in the state of Kentucky that's never received their unemployment checks because of mismanaged funds. The government speaks great swelling words, and they're going to help everybody with these stimulus. Oh, we're going to bail you out. It's just like this new director that Joe Biden's hired for his COVID-19 team. He said we need to lock down 4 to 6 weeks, and we'll borrow money at a 0% interest rate, and we'll have all kinds of money, and we'll just give everybody all this money and keep everybody up, and nobody will have to do it without. And after 6 weeks, buddy, we'll come out smelling like roses. Yeah, right. I'm going to believe you too, mister. Yeah, just like I do the rest of them and all the others that's told us everything all year long. Better quit depending on the government, folks. You better quit depending on these people to bail you out and get you along. You better start growing your own lettuce. You better start growing your own corn and beans and potatoes, and you better start, growing your own gardens where you can. If you have an ability to do it, do it. If you have an ability to, if you just ask around, you may have friends or neighbors that has a plot of ground that you could have plowed up and grow a garden on their property if they don't live far from you, where you could just drive down there and work the garden and drive down there and get your vegetables and things like that from it as as it comes in. Or you might could even do something like that and half it with somebody and get them to go in with you, and both of you work it and tend it, and both of you can it and benefit from it. All kinds of ways if you just ask. A lot of folks would might be willing to do that if you just ask them. So don't forget, get it while you can, because if you keep putting this stuff off, it's going to come a time, I think now, that you're not going to be able to get it so easily. We're already seeing the stores again limit things. We're already seeing the store shelves emptied of toilet paper and all that kind of stuff. I have had numerous comments on here about stores that are out of toilet paper, out of paper towels, out of a variety of other products that they're already out of. And the ones that are not completely out, they're limiting people as to how much stuff they can buy. So get it while you can. If you've got a job and you're working, get it. If somebody's not on board with you, if you're a husband or a wife and you're trying to get this done and the other person isn't, talk to them about these numbers. Talk to them about the unemployment skyrocketing the way it is. Talk to them about all this, these programs coming to an end with the mortgages and the rent and all these things. There are going to be millions of people affected by this. Millions. People's going to be put out of their homes in the winter. People's going to be set out on the street in the winter. There's going to be people living out of their cars, if they've got one, if they're lucky enough to have one still yet. So if you've got a place and you've got room for it, let me encourage you again, get it while you can. Get it while you can. All right, I'm going to wind this up. Let me say again that I love you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. I pray that the Lord blesses you and watches over you and keeps you. If you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, my prayer for you is that you would open your heart to Him and invite Him into your life, that He might reveal Himself to you, that you might know Him. Nothing like knowing Jesus. It's not a ticket out. It's not a ticket away from hard times. But it most certainly is a hope of glory. And it most certainly is the assurance that God's grace will see you through. So, God bless you all. And until the next video, we'll see you next time. It just ain't wanting to do it, is it, huh?